You can be the tech guy. I'll be a slutty clown. We'll be good.
Hey, just be quiet for a little bit.
I didn't write an introduction. I need to introduce it. I can't just start with this fucking propaganda rant. So, I wanted to talk about a few things that I care about. Hopefully people can get to know me a bit better. Maybe I can influence somebody to make some changes, which would be amazing, but if not, just enjoy the rant anyway. Also, I got my nails done yesterday, and I don't know if you can see, but there's a teeny tiny clown on there. I just wanted to point that out because it's fucking awesome. But anyway, here we go. I could put the effort in to learn all of the lines that I wrote for this so that I could make eye contact with the camera the whole time, but I really just can't be arsed, so I'm just gonna read directly off the sheet that I've written. It's all good, you know, eye contact is not a thing that I give out IRL anyway, so it's a real treat for me to be looking dead in the eyes right now. Always be aware of who you're giving money to, either directly or indirectly. Basically, everywhere around you, people are trying to make money off you. Some people get paid for their views and engagement on different social media platforms, so just be careful of rage bait. Work on being able to recognize rage bait and engagement bait and avoid engaging with it where possible, because other people can only benefit from that. It makes you sad, it makes you cranky, and let's all just admit the internet is not as fun as it used to be. My point is, avoid giving money to billionaires. Nobody really ever thinks about how much money $1 billion actually is, but I'll show you a visual representation now. 1 million is 1,000 thousands, and 1 billion is 1,000 millions. So just really let that sink in for a second, of like how much $1 billion actually is. And ask yourself, who the fuck needs that much money? What's the purpose of hoarding that much money? And there's people out there who hoard hundreds of billions while people struggle all over the world. There is no such thing as an ethical billionaire. The only way that someone could ever make $1 billion or more is by exploiting people. They got where they are from standing on the backs of others. They exploit workers. They create monopolies. By definition, a company who is building a monopoly will seek to eradicate all of its competitors. So you only have one choice. They do this by throwing all of their ethics out of the window, if they ever had any in the first place, to make sure that they have the cheapest prices and the best services possible, even if it is at the expense of others, including their own workforce. And if they can't beat their competitors, they just buy them out. Look at this chart detailing the companies who own other companies within the food industry. Now this is just the food industry, and you'll be able to see how all of the profits from all of those companies, which most people might presume to be different companies, are all mashed into one. All of that money is going to a handful of very rich CEOs. We also see this kind of company grouping with social media, with Meta, that originally just was Facebook, now owning Instagram and WhatsApp as well. They have seemingly unlimited power because they have seemingly unlimited wealth and resources. So in order to stop the competition, it's fairly cheap for them to just buy it out. So Meta purchased Instagram for just $1 billion. I know I said earlier that that was a lot of money, but if you think that that's a lot of money to someone like our cheeky little Zuckerberg, who's definitely not a lizard, you would be mistaken, because that kind of money is just a drop in the pond for him, and he could just do that with every single company that ever stood in his way. Just buy them all out. At this point in time, just a handful of people, supposedly the top 1%, has more wealth than the majority of the rest of the world combined. I know that in those statistics they say the top 1% has more than the bottom 60%, but I just think bottom 60% is a really funny way of saying the majority. This kind of wealth distribution I can only describe as dystopian. And you know, I am a huge fan of dystopia type movies, apocalypse movies. I love that shit. I love it when everything turns into chaos and it's super scary, but I just don't want it in the real world, okay? I don't want to see it like IRL, that's not cool. But think about this. What happens when one man, or should I say one family, owns the majority of all of the companies in the world, and none of us have a choice but to keep paying them, what happens then? And like I said, they will make as much money as possible at the expense of the workers. And we all know that technology is advancing quite a bit at the minute, and these companies are looking to replace real human workers with AI, with machines. It's not far-fetched to say that at some point in my lifetime, the majority of need for physical human workers could just become completely obsolete. Like a reversion back to the Middle Ages, with the ultra-wealthy living a lavish life and the poor scavenging for food, which is not far off what's happening at the minute. Companies do not care about you. They are not people, relatable or down to earth like they would want us to think from their sassy TikTok comments and tweets. Yep, that's right. You're not funny, McDonald's. And you're not a person either. These corporations have one goal and one goal only, and that is to make as much profit as possible for the greedy, evil CEOs right at the top. At a point in time where you pay for a product or a service, and then they ask you to pay more money to remove ads, there's no way that you can think that any company or corporation has your best interests at heart. They're money-making machines. That's it. They are knowingly destroying this planet for profit, for money, which is a made-up concept and won't even matter at all when the world comes to collapse because of global warming. But it's always on us as the consumer, right? We're encouraged to recycle, we're encouraged to cut back. But even if we did the best that we possibly could, who's to say that it would even save us now? Because the only people who actually have the power to make real change are those at the top. How can anything that I do make a difference if Taylor Swift takes a jet to the fucking corner shop and Katy Perry takes the most pointless trip to space just so that she can promote her shitty new tour and call herself a feminist astronaut? I'm hyper aware of these issues. I didn't used to be. But at this point, it makes me feel so small and useless, like a little teeny tiny ant, or maybe like a little puppet ant that's just being pulled around by the strings. And people can call me crazy and selfish for choosing a child-free life all they want, but I couldn't in good conscience bring life into this world, knowing the state of the world as it is and knowing where we could possibly be heading. And you know what? Maybe there is nothing we can do about it at this point. Maybe it is too late to actually change things. But the very least that we can do is be aware of what's happening and not just lay down and take it. I'm going to focus on Amazon for this example. This is a company that makes hundreds of billions of dollars every single year from us. Now, we all know that this company got where they are from doing some ethically questionable and downright horrific practices, but we all still buy from there. We don't even think twice about buying from there because it's natural at this point. We feel like we have no choice. And if you don't know the full extent of Amazon's shady practices, you can go ahead and watch a bunch of the YouTube videos that I'm going to link in the description. I'm also going to link in a bunch of videos that speak about things that I care about, give out the messages that I really want my fans and people who know me to hear about. So check those out if you've got a free evening. There's a good watch list in there, but warning, it's a little bit depressing. Just to give a very short and generous description of Amazon's crimes, they would include tax evasion! Yay! And obviously the notorious mistreatment of their underpaid employees. The employees who have no choice but to work there, because in a world where everybody buys from Amazon, guess what? Everybody works at Amazon too. Whenever we need to buy anything, our first thought is to go straight to Amazon. And even if it isn't, any products that you search for, on Google especially, the first results, if not the majority of the results, are all going to be Amazon. And yeah, you will struggle to find the same range of products. You might even struggle to find the product you're looking for at all without Amazon. Never mind finding it at those kind of prices with next day or same day delivery. And this is all on purpose. It's planned out meticulously for no reason other than to make the already ultra rich Jeff fucking Bezos even fucking richer. You're gonna struggle to find that product anywhere but Amazon, and sellers are going to struggle to sell their products anywhere but Amazon. This is literally a monopoly in action. Now, I don't want to try and tell you what to do. I would never try and do that. But I would like you to be informed and question things. Go out of your way to inform yourself about what's actually happening in the world right now. So you can be aware that anytime you watch an ad, you click a link, or you buy a product, some evil villain type CEO out there is collecting more wealth than anyone could ever need to spend in a lifetime. Think about the workers who are being exploited because they are people just like you and me. And yeah, it is a hassle to have to go out of your way to avoid buying from certain companies or to boycott certain companies. And it can be slightly more expensive to find some products without going on Amazon. You might actually have to leave your house and attend a physical store if you want to find a small business to support. You might have to search online for longer, and you might have to wait a few extra days for delivery. But rest assured, you won't be contributing to the ultra wealthy becoming even more wealthy. Before you buy something, ask yourself if you really need it and who the profits are going to. Could you potentially buy this from a small business? Do you really need next day or same day delivery? There's been very few times in my life when I've had to purchase something online that I needed the next day. Because of Amazon doing this, everybody has now got this expectation that delivery of items should be super fast. But again, it's at the expense of their employees. Believe it or not, there was a time when it was pretty normal to wait a week or more for something to arrive that you'd ordered online. Maybe even longer, but I'm not that fucking old. 2000, baby! You can even buy a lot of stuff second hand. There are people out there who genuinely think that buying from Shein is completely valid because they can't afford to shop anywhere else. But you can buy a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of great stuff second hand for less than you would buy it from on Shein. It's better quality, and you know that if we actually recycle and everybody reuses clothing and other items, that the oceans and the landfills aren't just going to keep piling up with mountains and mountains of discarded clothes and random useless plastic objects that we never even needed in the first place. A really good tip that I do myself is to use Amazon like a search engine. Obviously, they are the main store on the internet. Everything that you could ever want is on there, and that's why it's so tempting to just buy from them. But you can use it as a search bar. You can look for the product that you want, find the company that you want to buy from, go search for that company's own website and buy directly from the company. It's just better for everybody involved, except for Amazon, because they don't get their cut of your hard-earned money. Now, we don't have to be perfect. We can just change a few things, and every time we make a more ethical decision, we'll feel better about ourselves. I am aware of the irony and a slight hypocritical nature of me working for a multi-billion-dollar company. I do hate that 20 to 40% worth of my income has to go to some billionaire every single time I make a sale for nothing more than hosting my content and doing a bit of customer service, really. Of course, they could take less, but then how would the CEO buy their 5th mega yacht this year? Think about the poor billionaires. They need more boats and more houses. But, you know, it's not like I have a choice in the matter. The only reason that I'm able to do this job full time is because I have these brand names to sell under that are recognizable, that are trustworthy. I'm actually too scared to name the site, but we all know that one of the sites that I work on is not the best ethically, and they don't do the best things with their profits. And I tried to leave a while ago, and my income just went and yeah, it nearly crashed straight to the floor. So really I had no choice, sorry. That is the end of the rant today. If you actually heard me, then you might be considering trying to buy directly from creators like myself instead of giving the cut of money to the sites. So on that note, and this is very important, it is so against site TOS for me or any other creator on there to be soliciting private sales or trying to get money elsewhere without giving the site their cut. It will get us banned, even for just talking about it, even for just referring you to a different place. So I cannot stress this enough. Please do not message me or any other creators on a site asking about paying elsewhere, you will get our account banned and we could potentially lose our income. So don't do that, please. What you can do is use your brain and find their social media, have a little sneaky poke around and see if there is any other options or if there is somewhere you can contact them about private sales. But do not ask on the site because we shouldn't even be answering you. It can get us in shit. But yes, there is a correct way to go about finding out how to pay a creator directly without putting their account on certain websites in jeopardy. That was all for today, folks. Thank you for listening. Look at my nails one more time because they're so fucking cool. They're so